Billy the Kid, or William H. Bonney, was one of the most famous gunslingers in the Wild Wild West. An outlaw who spent his life on the run, he was a great shot, and legend has it he could be one of the few quick draws of that time, being able to draw his gun and fire it accurately. In this video, we explore his devastating true story, revealing the man behind the myth. First up, who was Billy the Kid? Billy the Kid was born Henry McCarty in 1859. He is one of the most well-known outlaws of the American Old West, with more than 50 movies having been made on his life. In our opinion, one of the best movies made about him is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so if anyone is interested in a high-stakes retelling of Billy the Kid's misadventures, we strongly recommend this movie. Kid met his end at the ripe age of 21 when he was shot dead after having killed 8 men. His other claim to fame is his participation in New Mexico's Lincoln County War, during which he is said to have killed 3 people. Billy rose to notoriety in the public eye thanks to mass media coverage, with the Las Vegas Gazette and the Sun in New York City chronicling his misadventure across America. The infamous outlaw was shot and killed in Fort Summer in July of 1881 after having evaded law enforcement on multiple occasions and even escaping from jail. Karma finally caught up with him, but the memory of Billy the Kid lives on. But we have to ask, who really is Billy the Kid? Up next, we talk about the kid's lonely childhood. We don't know a lot about Billy's childhood, but what we do know is quite sad. According to sources and biographers, Billy was actually born Henry McCarty, the son of an Irish mother who lived in the slums of New York City. Not only did this mean that his family struggled economically, but he was also raised by a single mother, leading to further isolation from the wider world. As he grew older, he had a hard life, constantly moving from place to place in search of stability. Billy first moved to Wichita, Kansas, and then migrated to the West, arriving in New Mexico in the 1870s. Because he was used to a life of strife and struggle, Billy adapted quickly to the rugged landscape, becoming fluent in Spanish. Unfortunately, his mother caught tuberculosis and died in 1874, abandoning him to the terrors of the world at the tender age of 14. From that moment on, he was taken care of by a negligent stepfather and was forced to live in dilapidated foster homes and boarding houses. Looking for comfort in whatever form he could find it, Billy was entranced by the thrill and easy money found in thievery, soon turning into a petty criminal. Next, the kid's first run-in with the law. Considering the background that Billy came from, it is easy to understand why the attraction to a life of crime and violence was so strong. It's a tale as old as time, but because of the way economic systems are set up world over, the less privileged are forced to resort to measures similar to this in order to make ends meet or to even survive. Billy was 14 years old, left alone in this world after his mother died, with no one to care for him. He had to fend for himself, and he had to do it fast. That's what led him to assisting Sombrero Jack in his first ever brush with the law. In 1875, Kid and Sombrero Jack worked together to steal clothing from a Chinese laundry house. Billy then hid all the clothes in his boarding house, but his landlord snitched on him and turned him into the sheriff's department. Though he got away with a minor sentencing, the youth didn't repent for his crimes and instead climbed up the chimney and fled town. This set his career as an outlaw on fire, because he then began to traverse the West as a ranch hand, gambler, and gang member, all positions that polished his rifle and revolver skills. Ultimately, Billy the Kid cemented his position as an outlaw when he killed his first man during a fight in a saloon in Arizona. This led to him dropping his birth name, Henry McCarty, evolving into the persona of Billy the Kid, or William H. Bonney. And now, let's talk about the literal skeletons Billy has in his closet. Billy the Kid was a cool cat. He was pretty easygoing and not an outwardly aggressive person. But if someone angered the kid, they would find themselves at the end of his 6-shooter. In 4 years, between 1877 and 1881, the youthful outlaw was responsible for the shooting deaths of 9 men, out of which he killed 4 all by himself. One of his most legendary shootouts took place in 1880 at a New Mexico saloon. A drunk patron by the name of Joe Grant was harassing other bar-goers and threatened to kill someone before the night ended. This situation was too tempting to ignore, so the kid sidled up to Grant and casually said, "That's a mighty nice-looking 6-shooter you got." As quick as a whistle, he slipped the gun out of Grant's holster and spun the cylinder so the next time Grant shot, it would be a blank, then handed it back to the drunk. Later, annoyed by the kid's behavior, Grant pulled his gun out, intending to kill Billy right then and there, but it didn't fire. Before he had time to react, Billy the Kid whipped out his own gun and shot Grant dead. Wow, we're getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Next up, Kid's most memorable jailbreak. He really knew how to escape with style. Picture this. It's late 1880, and the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department is so close to finding and capturing Billy the Kid, they can taste it. There's tension in the air. There's not a sound to be heard. Wait, sorry, we were imagining this like the Wild West shootouts we see in movies. Anyway, in late 1880, Lincoln County Sheriff Pat Garrett finally tracked Billy the Kid down to a cabin in Stinking Springs and forced him to surrender. The kid was found guilty of the murder of Sheriff William Brady and confessed as much in the Lincoln courthouse. setting a date with death the next evening. Hold on to your holsters, Billy the Kid has one more trick up his sleeve. On April 28, 1881, Billy the Kid pulled one of his most daring escapes from prison yet. During a supervised outhouse trip, he slipped out of his cuffs, attacked a guard, and shot the man to death with his own gun. Working as quick as he could, Billy grabbed a double-barrel shotgun and murdered the second guard who was stationed across the street. Now he was in control of the courthouse. He grabbed a bunch of weapons, broke open his shackles, and fled town on stolen horseback. This wild escape made headlines all over the country, making Billy the Kid the most wanted man in the West. And now, the dramatic way Billy the Kid met his end at the ripe age of 21. Billy the Kid had escaped the clutches of death once, but this time he wasn't so successful. After fleeing for his life from Lincoln County, Billy spent several months on the frontier, accepting the help of pitying locals in Fort Sumner. However, his persona was larger than life, and he couldn't keep his activities on the down low because Sheriff Pat Garrett and two deputies soon caught up with him. They rode into town on the night of July 14, 1881. Garrett approached the house of local rancher Pete Maxwell to ask him about the kid's whereabouts. As if by chance, as soon as Garrett had woken up Maxwell, Billy approached the rancher's house because he had been in the neighborhood to get some beef for his dinner. Noticing that there were strange shadows at Maxwell's house, Billy the Kid's senses were on high alert. He drew his pistol and yelled, "Who's that?" But it was this move that sounded his death knell. Sheriff Garrett immediately recognized the kid's voice and instantly drew his six-shooter, firing 2 rounds in his direction. One of the bullets landed near the kid's heart, and he died immediately. And finally, maybe Billy the Kid still walks amongst us. Okay, we admit that this conspiracy theory is a bit of a reach, but after Billy the Kid was killed, there were rumors that Pat Garrett actually killed the wrong man, or better yet, he helped fake the outlaw's death. Multiple people have come forward claiming to be the Kid. Most famously, in the late 1940s, an elderly man in Texas known as Brushy Bill. But this claim was soon discredited when family records revealed his birth date to be 1879. In another impressive claim, some say that the Kid under the alias of John Miller, but this could never be verified as plans to compare his remains to those of Billy's never materialized. Despite all these rumors, historical record has showed us that Billy the Kid's dead body was identified as such by multiple eyewitnesses, and therefore it's safe to say that Sheriff Pat Garrett put an end to Billy the Kid's reign of terror in the Wild West. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think? Was Billy the Kid a victim of circumstances, or was he a villain? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.